50. Yeah. It's 50 shades of life. Let's talk about your type. Are your pockets feeling light?
Does your man treat you right?
Is your sex game lame? Are you searching for some fame? Hey yo, cuz, let's talk about it. Sex health, music wealth, true to self, I knew myself. Boy, you better not lose yourself. But let me mind my own black business. Running up these digits, fresher than them dishes.
Shall you grant your wishes? I'm a tarot reading witness.
Yeah. 5-0. Yeah, 50.
Welcome to 50 Shades of Life. It's your girl Raquel Nicole with 50 Shades of Life, and we are here, a little holiday special. By the time you guys see this, it'll be a couple days after we've recorded this, but I have a very special guest today, which I think I say that all the time, but all my guests are special. So with this one, she has a story that I want so many people to hear. And I'm going to give her a short intro. She reached out to me, and you guys, I was taken back by the conversation. I was taken back by her story, her journey as it continues. But it was one that hit close to home versus some of my friends and all these other things. So I just felt like it would be the perfect time to have an individual who is an advocate. She is a activist. She is what's the words? She's a conqueror. That's what I want to use. She is one who loves to grind and do what she needs to do. And she is a woman whose journey I cannot wait to continue to watch. But I want to say welcome to Regina. Welcome, Regina.
Thank you so much for having me on, Raquel.
All right. And you guys, the pronunciation of her full name is Regina Hiremath. And she's located way on the West Coast, way out in California. And I'm, of course, on Eastern Standard Time. So I'm pretty sure also our weather is quite different than what I'm experiencing here, which is freezing rain. What's the weather like where you guys are?
Today it was in the low 70s and sunny. I had to put the windows down in the car today.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
We're supposed to get freezing rain right now. It kind of started earlier, but I'm like, here we go. So not looking forward to that. But Regina has an amazing story because she is a survivor. And I'll let her get into a little bit of that. But from childhood to adulthood, and now she has reached and is reaching her peace, her moment, her monumental moment, right? And now because of her success of overcoming her own hindrances and challenges, this moment in her life is why I think we got up, as I've had so many conversations, and I'm hoping that this specific episode will help other individuals. And she also has a book coming out, which we're going to talk about. And this is your first one, right?
Yes, it's actually out now.
That's right. I'm thinking, wait a minute, she said it was out. So yes, it is out. And so let you take over and tell us just a little history in terms of how and what you're doing now, and then we'll back up. So who are you right now?
Right now, I am an empowered woman.
Yeah.
I truly am. Coming from my background and the things that I've been through, it propelled me into launching a divorce blog with a private community, conquering a lifelong fear of public speaking. This year alone, I checked off a few more boxes. So I'm now a keynote speaker and an international speaker and an author and an executive board member for a domestic violence organization.
Yes. So again, like she said, domestic violence is one of the main reasons why we are here. And we've seen, I feel like, I know during COVID, right, a lot of cases picked up. But I think it was also the time, which Regina and I had this conversation, it was a time where a lot of people also realized, I know I need for sure to go, right? If they were in this environment, it was a time of almost self-empowerment. So I would love for you to give us a little bit of let's rewind, right? And start at, you mentioned some of your journeys. So tell us some of those mountains right, that you had to climb over to get to where you are right now? Or should I say those valleys that you had to go through to get to those points?
Okay, so my parents weren't able to raise me, and my grandmother was raising me up until about the age of 7 when she passed away of cancer.
Mm.
And at that time, I went back to live with my mom and just suffered a lot of trauma through abuse in every way. And so eventually ended up living with another relative who I later found out was an alcoholic, and came into early adulthood with lots of trauma, pain, and suffering. And so at a certain point, I met my husband. I think I was in my mid 20s and was unaware that he was narcissistic. And
Mm.
so we got married, and marriage lasted for 23 very long, painful years. But I'm grateful for gaining the strength to walk away from that and starting this whole new incredible life.
So at what age did you actually go out on your own?
At what age did I go out on my own as an adult? I was about 19, 20. Yes.
Okay. And then you met your husband. Was it around that time frame, or were you in your late 20s or?
I met my husband around, I would have to say 23, 24.
Do you feel like in between that time when you left the first chapter, right, of your life and you walked into that second chapter, so those years between 19 and 23, 24, 25, 26, whatever, do you feel like you were able to recognize what you had been through in your childhood as abuse, or was it not until now?
It was like throughout my marriage, I started to just think about my life, but I certainly, as an early adult, did not think that it was abuse. I just thought that everybody had trauma. I had met so many other adults and children who had suffered some sort of trauma early on. We were all carrying some sort of baggage.
Yes. And that's something that I have learned. My BS is in psychology, and I have a lot of counselors in my circle. I've been to different sessions and I've studied, and a lot of things I've noticed is some people didn't realize it was abuse until they get older, even physical abuse, where they're like, I didn't realize that. And I think now we have access to so much more on social media and other things
Right,
to where it's
right,
like oh, wait a minute, like
right.
that was my life.
I think also one of the main things for me was once talk shows. Prior to this information that we have now, the talk shows came out and people came onto these shows and they started telling their stories, and we could relate to it because there was something in those stories that was resonating with us, that was waking us up to our own trauma and made us start, whether we wanted to admit it or not or work on it, we became aware around that time.
So then we transitioned into your marriage, and you said he was a narcissist. Did you see that in the very beginning, or was it something that you ignored? How did you get to the point where you're like, wait a minute, this man is this type of person?
Right. And so, because of the trauma with my mom and the people that were around her, and my aunt who ended up raising me, abuse felt normal.
Mm.
So, coming into my marriage, prior to getting married, when we were engaged and we were out, and I can clearly remember the first time he snapped. We were in a store shopping. I was looking for some things, and it was like a clothing store. And he came over to me and said, "We have to go now." And I was just like, as anyone says, when you're shopping, you're in that mode, I'm checking that rack, and someone says, "We have to go." You think I've got maybe 5 or 10 minutes to circle another rack and grab some things. And so when I didn't move fast enough, he started shouting, yelling, and cursing at me. And we left the store immediately. And I spent the rest of the day kind of traumatized, but didn't really realize that it was abuse because it felt normal. Somebody was always shouting or yelling or worse than that to me as a child. So it was already like, it was normal to me for someone to disrespect me.
Wow. Now I know there's different types of narcissists.
Right.
What type of narcissist was he?
I believe because I'm not a doctor,
Yeah.
but from everything that I read, because I realized this from my current therapist after I'd been divorced, that he was narcissistic. I just thought he was problematic. And when she said it, I got off the session that night. We were in virtual, and I started doing some research. And all of it was as if for 20 something years, and even beyond my divorce, I had been in the dark. And that day, someone turned the light on, and I could just begin to see. And the light got brighter, right, as I began to go online and do a search and figure it out. But there are different types. There's about 5 or 6 different types of narcissistic personality disorder, what do you call it? Type or category. And I believe that he's antagonistic narcissist.
Okay.
Because he spends so much time antagonizing.
Really?
Just antagonizing constantly.
Was he in his childhood abused, do you think, to where
his father was narcissistic?
Oh.
Severely. And so with narcissists, they're created by one or two parents.
Yes. Definitely. Social media, if you click on one thing, then all of a sudden it's like, this is what I tell different people, it's the stalkers. They just come in and they load you with information. And sometimes it can be dangerous, right? Because some people will say, oh, I'm being this and I'm doing that, or I'm with this type of person or whatever. But at the same time, I also feel like it raises awareness, right? To where you're like, oh man. And like you said, you're kind of like going down the bullets. Yeah.
Yes.
100%. And did you guys have children in your marriage or no?
We had 3 children.
Gotcha. And so at what point, so you said 23 years? Is that how long? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So at what point was it where it clicked when you're like, I need to get out because this is not good for me. This is abuse, especially as a mother.
Right. There were so many things that kept me there. Fear, religion. One day my mom was over. She was sitting on the sofa and I was in the kitchen and I was unloading the dishwasher and I had a breakdown and I started throwing dishes. I was taking the dishes out the dishwasher and chucking plates and everything everywhere. And my mom was just sitting there looking at me. What is going on? So she gets up and she walks over and just grabs me and holds me. And we ended up on the floor with her holding me until I calmed down. And it was at that time that I decided to share with my mom what I was going through and what I was dealing with. But it was very difficult for her to understand because narcissists have a public persona and a private persona. And the only person that knows about, or the only people that know about their scary side are the ones who live with them. And the people on the outside are in the palm of their hands. And so that's what makes it so difficult for a person to leave, because what you know is so different than what everyone else knows. And so if you were to try to tell someone, that person would look at you like something's wrong with you because they think that your spouse is amazing, wonderful, great. And so I'm trying to explain it to my mom, and my mom was really struggling. And so I was like, I have a short span of time for her to get this, to fully understand what it is that I'm saying and not question which side to believe. And so what I decided to do was pick up my phone and show her the text messages that he had just sent me within the last day or so about my mom, which would refute his character that she believed.
Yes.
And so that was the beginning of a very long process.
So what I'm hearing is you were always in defense mode to protect him as well for these 20 some years. So
I was cleaning up the mess.
Oh my goodness.
I was cleaning up the mess everywhere.
Wow.
Everywhere with everything. I was the cleanup woman.
Wow. Were you also the type of person who, God, that touched me. That's just like, it's so much weight on an individual to where I don't even know what your kitchen looks like, right? And I could just see all that weight just plummeting down. I can't even imagine what your mother felt, right? To see her child go through this and she not even be aware. So that means you did, unfortunately, an excellent job of shielding it, because even your mother didn't see it. But you think about how it just shattered Do you know what made you break down? Was it because you got tired?
I think the weight of my ever-present life just crushed me. And for some reason, unloading the dishwasher was just too much for me in that moment. And I just said, forget the dishes, forget everything. It was like that piece in Jenga where everything tumbles down. And that's really how I describe it.
Yeah.
I tumbled the dishes, me, life, everything hit that kitchen floor.
Wow. When you think about when you said dishes, I was like, oh, she was in her own. They have those war rooms where you can go in and break everything up.
Yeah,
and
throwing axes and
well, luckily you didn't have axes at that moment or anything. But no, I
Yeah.
mean, they actually just opened one here. But so many people do have to find a way to release whatever it is. So you have gone through the verbal abuse and any other types of abuse. And when your mother, was he trying to alienate those that were close from you?
Yes, I was very isolated. My mom, he didn't like having my mom around a lot. And so was always trying to walk this line of having her around and spending time with her, but not upsetting him. And kept my friends away because there were times where he was just unpredictable to have people around. He just had a very difficult personality to deal with. And just for my own peace of mind in my home, I just kept people out. I have a really good friend who's a second mom to me, and she came to visit. And with narcissists, they can only keep their mask on for so long. And she was with us for about a week, and she started to see it. And when she went back home, she came from the Bay Area. And when she went back home, she said, "I'm sorry, but I can't come back and visit you anymore," which crushed me because this is someone who's second mom to me. She's been around, she's mom to me, a grandmother to my kids. And she's like, "I can't come anymore because I can't be quiet how I am. And I'm not going to be able to be quiet." And I remember getting off the phone and just crying because it was just becoming more and more difficult, more and more isolated, more challenging. And
I think it also may have made you feel what I was saying was realism was starting to hit you more and more because now you realize I have to take action because I'm losing even more of me. I know narcissists, they will isolate you. They will try their hardest, whether it's something or someone. They always make it seem like you're crazy. You're the one who's delusional. And even if, I don't even want to mention this person's name, but somebody who was known for being on video who said that wasn't me. And it's like, we know that's you on the video. Almost like to where they're so good at it, unfortunately, being the manipulators, right? That they are.
Yes,
where
absolutely.
the victim who is in that situation, a lot of times you triple think.
You're questioning your own sanity. You're asking yourself, like, am I losing my mind? Am I crazy? Because they're treating you like you're crazy and you're losing your mind. And there's no one you can go to talk about it because everyone's bought into this whole act. Mm-hmm. And so I liken it to someone just snatching the rug out from under you all the time. Or if you've ever been at the beach and walked on large rocks and you're constantly trying to figure out where to plant your foot and you think you're safe, but you slip and you're moving around and you can't focus on anything else around you because you're just unstable. And so those are the two descriptions that I have for it, because it's really hard for the average person who's never experienced that type of manipulation and abuse to get it.
And the fact that you did it for over 2 decades and you're here today looking beautiful and stunning. So applaud you for that. I'm happy to meet you in this space, right? I've definitely been in situations where I've tried to help people, and when it's someone that you really love, which is why I imagine that your girlfriend was like, I can't come back because I can't be quiet, because she loved you so much to be like, I can't be quiet. I got to figure out how to get you out of this situation. So what was the situation where it was like, I'm done. I'm going to file for divorce. This is it. I'm out of here. What pushed you to finally make that move? Because that is the hardest thing, even if it's a girlfriend relationship.
Yes.
It's even harder. Married, kids. Were you working at the time as well or no?
I was working. Before I made the decision, I was not working because when we moved here, I sold my business when we moved to California and had planned to get everything situated and start working again, but he came to me and was like, we can't have you working. It was all part of his plan. When someone's trying to snatch your superpower, that thing that is within you that gives you a sense of power and just makes you feel good about yourself, that's when you're in trouble. But he didn't want me to work and it was like, oh, the family needs you. I'm taking a new job. The kids have new schools and we just need you around. And during that time, it just was so awful for me because I had worked since I was 16 years old and I had been a business owner for many years. But during that time when things got really bad, I decided to go back to work. And when I told him that I had signed a contract and I was going back to work, it hit the fan. And I had to leave my home that evening, kids and all. I had to walk out because I didn't feel safe. And that was the beginning of me realizing that this was something that I had to walk away from and that I was going to have to work really hard to do so. So I reached, thankfully, a girlfriend of mine encouraged me to reach out to a women's center, a local women's center here. And I started going there for counseling and trying to put my life together. And eventually I filed for divorce and he begged me to stay. And I went back and forth about it. But as any person who loves their family, you don't want to see the demise of your family to split up. And I gave him another chance if he would see a psychologist. So we saw a psychologist, and this guy was what I believe to be perfect. He totally understood the situation, and he was very impactful. For me, for somebody else, not so much, as narcissists do not accept criticism or advice about changes that they need to make. So for 4 years, we went to therapy, and it got worse.
Or did you change? Wow.
We went to the same therapist, and you step forward, 2 steps backward, that whole thing. And then it just got to the point where I realized that the intentions for therapy were to silence me and keep me there. And I can no longer co-sign for that. And so I spent the 5th year in therapy alone, knowing what I needed to do and working toward that.
Wow. So, was he able to see or acknowledge that his dad even had this issue, that he was also abused growing up as well, being in the home of a narcissist? Was he able to?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he was not. And that was the problem for the marriage, was that he was not willing to denounce that whole system that he came up under. And so anytime you realize, acknowledge that you have been in, that you grew up or you came out of what I call the nest that you came out of is broken, but you can't acknowledge that, denounce it, and work toward something different, you're never going to change.
Yep. And that's when they deflect and know it's you and you caused this and you know, that whole piece. So you finally move out and get your own place, I assume, or
so January of 20, I filed for divorce. March, the pandemic hit, and then I find a place, but due to the pandemic and just a sea of things, we were stuck in a house together for 5 months before I could close escrow and move into my own space.
Wow. But the divorce was done.
No, ma'am. The divorce came a year later.
Oh, no. So break me down. So you are during COVID. And this is what I was just kind of talking about. So during COVID, you're in a household. He knows that you have filed.
Yes.
You're going through legal, virtually, I would assume, virtual court.
No, I was going into the attorney's office.
Like, we gotta get this now. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. So a year later, so 21-ish?
Yes.
Official?
Yes, June of 21. I just returned from a trip and got a text from my attorney
Let me turn around and come back. Trip, I am on my way back. That's too funny. Well,
I just walked in the house when I got that text, and I'll never forget that.
I'm sure. So when
Yeah.
you got the text, because I know it can be emotional, right? It's bittersweet.
Yes.
Was that the feeling that you had was bittersweet, or was it?
It was not what I had expected, because I expected the moment that I found out, because we have these because we've never experienced certain things, so we have this vision of how it's going to be. So I thought, I'll find out. I'll put some Lizzo on.
Not Lizzo.
I'll put some Lizzo on. Get you out of my hair.
I know that. That's why I was like, you know what? Let me call back Delta and let me go somewhere else. So what was that feeling? Bring us into
that moment when I got the text. My attorney texted me and said, it's done.
Wow.
And I was like, I texted him back and said, exactly what is it that we're talking about? Because we had filings, we had this and that. And so I want to be clear. Mm-hmm. You say it's done. What's done?
Right.
You know,
no assumption.
What is done? Let's just get it out there. Let's be clear.
Right.
And so he called me and he said, it's the moment that we've been waiting for. You are divorced.
And I was in the house, or you were now?
I was in my, this is a year after I've been in my home. Yeah. And I was like, I didn't have to turn the Lizzo on and party moment. I had a very confused feeling because I expected to party. But what happened was I got hit with a wall of emotions that, was failure, it was sadness, it was grief, it was loneliness, it was everything all at once. Because I had spent a year and a half, and prior to filing, even longer than that, to get to this moment that I thought would be a celebration. And it wasn't. There was sadness. And so I picked up the phone and I called a friend who had been divorced for years. And I was just like, I don't get this at all. I don't even understand why I feel this way. And she explained it. She said, you don't let anyone tell you how to feel. You've got to go through these emotions. Your marriage, your life, everything was real. And so this is a moment for you to process it properly so that you can heal and move forward.
That's right. And I think also because you had spent so much time trying to fix and achieve and help and build up, and to where that's probably where that failure part came from, right? Like, fix it. So at what point were you like, I'm done with the grieving moment? When did you get through to where you're like, here's stage 2, right? Where now you're in I feel joy, like I'm waking up, like I'm not so much anxiety.
It would come and go. It was a roller coaster of emotions. And I've written about that. One minute you feel empowered, you feel strong. I can conquer the world. I'm living my life. I'm doing my thing. I'm happy. And then I go shopping and I hear a song in the store and I'm triggered.
Yes. And
I need to grab my things and I need to get home because I need to deal with these feelings and emotions of it would be something like, you're just going to be lonely forever. And I'm like, I need to go home and deal with that because I feel like, and that was the thing that I learned how to do. When the emotions would come, I would sit down because I felt like there were times that they would come, that they were real. And then there were times that they would come and they were a trap or a trigger. And so I would have to process it. So that day when I was in the store, you're going to be lonely forever, I came home and I sat down and I journaled a lot. I had an app on my phone with the passcode and I was just journaling like crazy whenever things would hit me. It was like, you're not lonely. You have so many people in your life and you've got your kids and you lost some friends, but now you're in a space to where you're attracting new friendships and new relationships and things. And so you can't be lonely. Yeah. You have moments of feeling alone, and that's normal because you were part of a family for so long, and half the week your house is quiet. So You have moments of being alone, but you're not lonely because you have got amazing people in your life.
Do you think that you lost some of your friends, or did any of your friends come back and say, man, I'm so glad you got done and divorced him? Because let me tell you how I really feel. Did you run into any friends that were like, now that you're here, I want to be your friend again? Did you run into any friends that were like, I just didn't want to say anything, but...
Yeah, some of my older friends were definitely telling me what they saw. And at the time that they saw it, they were making comments and saying things. But every person has to walk their journey and take that step to leave when they feel like it's best for them, because that is your life. And that's what I tell people. You know, I have friends who, they know my life, they know what I'm doing now. And, well, what do you think? I think you should do what you feel is best for you, because I don't have to walk your journey.
That's right.
You do.
That's right.
I can be here to hold your hand either way you decide, but I write about it in my book about my friendships, and everything happened with my friendships, everything. I had friendships that got tighter because now I'm in a clear space to be receptive, open, see that my friends are going through things too, and respond to that. I had friends who attacked me verbally because I'm not part of the pity party anymore. And so they wanted to drag me down, back down with them. And I was like, peace, no, can't do that with you.
Wow, that's not a friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I had friends who didn't know, mutual friends who didn't know, it couldn't split that down. It couldn't ride both sides. And so that was fine too, because you really need to know where your people stand. You need to know, where are you? Because it's such an emotional and challenging time that everybody in the boat needs to be rowing.
Some people, when they're mature enough, right, in your friendship, where some people realize I cannot support this person in this moment because it could be a trigger for them.
Right.
You don't know what people went through. Not everyone, right? Unless it was a really good relationship. We don't know what that person went through in their childhood, what they witnessed. I had that conversation with someone recently because they couldn't understand why a close friend couldn't support them in a moment that they were going through. And I told her, I said, well, she may not be able to support you, right? Because in order to support herself and to maintain the relationship that you guys have without it being a damaged relationship, her space is not to be your emotional support. Her space may be, hey, you want to go out? That's her role. Or, hey, let's talk about good stuff, because she already has maybe, or has not maybe dealt with some of the things, whatever. So some people have different places for friendships.
Right.
I think on the flip side of things, I too was in my previous relationship, not my current relationship, my previous relationship. I wasn't married, but it was a domestic violence situation. I was way younger. I was in college. And I ran into those situations with my friends, right? Where some of them were quiet. They didn't say anything. The other ones were very vocal. And then there was other ones where like, hey, that's a trigger for me because I grew up in an abusive household. I didn't know that until after the fact.
Right.
They were still praying for me. They were still trying to do something that may silently buy me a book and give me a hint, that type of thing. And I wasn't in it for a long time. It wasn't the whole relationship. It was the end of the relationship, which was weird. But, you know, that's the reason why I asked that. And that was something that I learned from that, was not every friend is going to perform how you want them to perform.
Right.
They have different moments in their life, and it may not, it could end there. Like that friendship, hey, that was the first part of my life. Now they're not in the second part, in the second chapter, the third chapter. But okay, so you said you were a business owner. So what is your business? And then I also want to know the name of your novel.
So I own Regina Hiremath hair and makeup studio here in San Diego. I think that's my first love. I've been in it for 30 something years. Then once I started to go through the divorce, I started the divorce blog, Alamonia Life, and added a private community. I have 4 other writers that write for the blog. We're all divorced and we write on various topics of divorce within the private community. I host that, and I add the blog posts, morning motivation songs, TED Talks, anything that I think would be motivational to someone who's either contemplating going through or struggling on the other side of divorce. So that's that. I'm really
good.
proud of that, because I struggle to find something like that, which is it was a catalyst for me starting it.
Where can someone go to read your blogs or join that community? If we have someone in the audience that feels like, man, I really want to read and they need that motivation. They're not ready. One day they're going to reach out to you, Regina.
Right.
But they're not ready. So they want to be
right. They can
hide.
Come in. I know, because I know from myself and people that I've worked with, due to the isolation, it's very difficult for people to reach out. These people are, myself included, very hurt, a lot of pain and a lot of trauma. So the idea of connecting with someone or something else at that time is a challenge and a big hurdle for them. But alamonialife.com is the blog. And so people can go in there and they can read all of the amazing blog posts that have been posted there for the last 4 years.
Wow.
Various topics. We talk about parenting, dating, the struggles of anything that you would deal with going through divorce, because all 5 of us are divorced and some have been divorced a couple times.
Oh, wow.
So I just really...
We're going to put it right here, but spell it.
Right. ALIMONIALIFE.
Yeah. Right here, you guys. Go here. This is stage 1. Go here and read. So you can gain that, like, you know what, I can do that. And keep saying it to yourself. Like, I do this. I got this.
Right.
You know, see the videos where the parents have the kids standing up in the mirror and they're like, say this, da, 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 and they say, I'm beautiful, I'm great, I'm awesome. We have to, as adults, do that as well. Yes. Right? Like, we have to, because there's so much negativity out there, especially now, where you got things from political, you got things from environmental, you got things from social. It's so much negativity where you can become depressed and never ever have a reason to even be depressed.
Right. Like,
careful.
Unchecked, other people's voices will start to sound like your own.
Man, that part, I definitely went through a stage in my life. I'm like, it's not Raquel. Like, I rebuke thee.
Right.
You know.
Me.
Yes. So let me ask. So did you ever have your Lizzo moment? I just want to know, did you have your Lizzo moment ever where you just was like, let me turn this up? Did you have your, like,
yes, my tribe came over and they turned it on. They came over and they turned it on, and we had our moment of celebration. But I just, even prior to that happening, because it took us a long time to coordinate with COVID and people's work schedules and everything. But prior to that, I created a life for myself that just helped me bounce back. Like, when I get up in the morning, I put on my music, and it's usually dance music, and I'm dancing and singing while I get ready for my day. That's how I want to come into my day, joyful. Something happens, okay, let me put some music on that too.
Yes, that is me. I'll have a whole talent show. My kids will be like, but you gotta like, it even goes back to like our roots, right? You look at different tribes and stuff like that years and years and years ago. That is a way of celebration, right? Through moments of death and stuff like that, there was dance and music, celebration.
Right. So, that's how we do it as a culture.
100%. So I'm it is the best feeling. I 100% agree. So I'm glad you got to that point. So we have alamonialife.com, which is the blog. Okay. And tell me, what is the novel, which we're going to have right here?
Lessons on the Way to Onesome.
So say it one more time so y'all can hear it.
Lessons on the Way to Onesome.
Yes. So tell me, where did that title come from?
Just, was writing the book. It took me a while. I've been writing the book for some time, and really getting quite frustrated because I didn't have a title. I thought the title would come right away. But then the more I wrote, the more I began to understand that the title would come from the journey that I was taking to write this book. And so it was just clear as day. I was sitting right here at this little desk I have, and I was away on my laptop, and all of a sudden I just started to call off titles, words, based upon just my overall feeling for this piece that I was working on. And it just was like lessons on the way to onesome, because I didn't want divorce in the title, because this book is not about divorce. Yes, it will help people who are going through or on the other side of divorce. But I talk about my childhood traumas. I talk about challenges that I had going through the divorce, my emotions, my friends. Talk about challenges within the marriage. But the most exciting part of the book for me is where I talk about like my divorce, like all the good stuff that started to happen, and my home, and having this life of travel and fun with my friends, and just whatever I wanted to do. And I think an important part of the process for me was asking myself, and I constantly do this, what do you need? Like, we ask other people that all the time. What do you need from me? How can I help you? We never sit down and ask ourselves,
that's a good question. What
do I need? What do I want? What do I desire? And so when I started to journal from that perspective, it just created a roadmap.
I love that.
For me to get to this life that I love every day. Not that every day is great, but there is some part of every day of my life that I absolutely love and I'm grateful for. And this title.
That's absolutely awesome. That is something. That's a very good question. So I would definitely say, if there's a listener out there right now, I would go and I'm a journaler myself. I have books upon books. I sit back and some of them I read, I crack up. I had some when I was like, you remember those diaries that used to come with the little locks?
Yes.
They'd be like Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
I have books from then. You would be pictures, whatever. So I am a huge advocate for journaling. So that's why I think I was even more attached to your story, because people that I was a mentor for or whatever, I always would constantly say journal. And then when smartphones came in, I'm like, you don't have to have a tablet. You don't have to have this fancy book. You can go to the dollar store, you can use your phone, you can grab a tablet. Right. You know what I'm saying? So just a release. And even if you're not a writer, it's not to make it look good. It's for you to release and make you think about stuff. And sometimes you got to have that like reflect moment where you go back, and then sometimes you realize, like, I look at something that I might be trying to overcome, and I'm like, man, I wrote about this. I literally just saw this the other day. I wrote about this same thing in 2019. It's almost 2025 and I'm still discussing this same, hey, wait, this is 5 years.
It's a record. It is truly a record of our progress or lack of, or our goals, our dreams, our everything in there. And I can clearly look at it and see how I have grown.
Yes, that's the other beautiful piece, is looking at how you've grown. Or we talked about it on another episode, but now, like, we want, whether it's material or if it's mental, whatever it is, spiritual, whatever, you just write it out, whatever it is. I want my house, I want a new car, whatever, right? And then to look back, you're like, oh, man. So when you do that from like a mental health perspective, it's even more empowering, right?
Yes.
Things like that. Or it's the same feeling like a lot of people talk about. And we had brothers that were on here, not brothers, like, but have another podcast called Mental Health Matters. And they talked about different things in their childhood or whatever. And we talked about so many different ways that they were able to overcome, or they're overcoming. And the podcast actually was their expression, themselves, which is like
outlet. Yes. We all need to have an outlet. My kids likes to do artwork. And so I'm always like in that. Yeah. It's really beautiful.
Yes. Whether it's makeup, whether it's whatever. But I love the question that you had, because that allows someone to be able to think about themselves. So when you ask that question, even myself, I was in here like, I think I might need to. So that's a good starter. If you have a journal, I would definitely say, let that be your first little, is to write that down and say, like, what do I need? Do I want? Yourself these questions that you're used to maybe asking other people, or if you have children,
Right.
you can rely on you all the time, that, or parents, if you have older parents, your neighbors, or whomever. So that's a beautiful question. So very happy that you found me, and the podcast. This is sometimes my emotional, like, what do you want to call it?
Release.
Journal. And so we want to transition to a little fun game.
Okay.
And I don't know if I want to call it a game. Maybe it's like a segment. I don't know. I'll figure it out. So you mentioned, I heard music a few times. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. So I heard Lizzo. So you can't say that one. No, I'm just like,
okay.
Right. And I can't say tape deck because I'm going to age both of them. No, I'm just like,
right.
Because I was going to say, well, what's in your tape deck right now?
What's in the 8-track?
You can't say even CD anymore. So, okay, what are you listening to right now? Like, what are your top 2 songs that you said, like, you wake up and you just like,
oh, so I like to listen to Pandora. And so my top stations on Pandora are Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
Jamiroquai.
What? Never forget. Are you serious?
Yes, ma'am. That Jamiroquai station got me through my divorce because time when I was in the house had with him, that 5-month period, and it was COVID, I flipped my schedule upside down in that I would take a shower at night after everyone went to bed, and I would put the Jamiroquai station on because it was new, upbeat tempo music that would get me like in a mood and excited when the house was quiet. And just stuck with me. That music got me through.
Somebody could have paid me $20 million. I would never. I would have thought, like, if I had to guess, I would have said something. The Earth, Wind, and Fire, I could see that for sure. I think everybody loves, a little bit of that. So all generations, right? But I would have said some like yoga music or some hotel calming spa sounds, or that.
Right.
Ooh, I love that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about Pandora is that, like when you put in Earth, Wind, and Fire, it isn't just all Earth, Wind, and Fire. They play, within that genre. And so you just get like that whole, like, it's party in there in the morning. It's a party. If someone came into my house, they would be like, no, we got to go. There's like 10 people in that bathroom. There's something going on in there. We got to get out of here.
That's too funny. All right. What is, you're an artist, an author. What is your favorite book?
That's really hard. As a creative, and people, I'm joking when I say this. They think I'm joking when I say this. I read a whole lot because I'm one of those people who get sleepy when I read. I don't read a whole lot, but I will talk about a book that is on my nightstand right now. It is, and I've got a stack of them there, and I pick them up here. I can read a little bit at a time, and then I'm sleepy, and then I'm out. But this
no offense to the authors, like no.
Yes, them. I would say that I have read quite a bit of Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. I love Viola Davis's autobiography because I could relate to that so much. Kind of a similar, of abuse in there. Not that I want to read that, but I was preparing to speak at an abuse symposium and picked the book up and realized that God was leading me to read that book to help me to prepare for that speech. So I'm grateful for that. But probably the book that is most impactful on my nightstand is The Lord of the Flies.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And the reason for that is because I was going through a really rough period in my life. And I was crying one day, and I got up and took a long walk and ended up near a Goodwill store. And I went in there, I just wandered around in there, saw a copy of it, had read it in high school. It was $1.25. That receipt is still in that book as it's falling apart now. And that book, again, at that time, was an escape for me as I was going through so much in that period of my life. But in the book, I talk about how I felt like at that time, I was like those boys, like I was on an island and I was trying my hardest to stay civil and survive.
Yeah.
Why that book is probably one of the most impactful books.
I think I've got a few kids. I'm trying to think. I know my oldest, I believe he read it and he's 22. I don't know if my younger two were, because I know that was a requirement. There's certain books, from previous generations, they still have them read. I know back in the day, it used to be like Huckleberry Finn and, that sort of whatever. But, and I have you. So it's really interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that one either, but,
I'm a hodgepodge of.
But that's fine. I like that.
I'm a hodgepodge of
good
things. I'm like a mosaic artwork, piece of artwork. I
it's
really
original.
am. Right.
Awesome. So, all right. Last question is a show or a movie that you so happy? Like, is it something of series or anything that you like, man, I gotta go watch this, or no?
There's one that I watch all the time, and no matter, scrolling through the guide and I see it, I have to watch it. The Temptations movie. I love that movie. I just love that movie because it gives such a picture of that period of time, and the music and the hair and outfits, and I love it. Yeah.
Do you like the 5 Heartbeats?
Similar, but I don't even know if I've seen the whole thing. I know, I'm sorry, but
it's like Jackson's for the Temptations,
Yeah, and I like the one about the Jackson family, American Dream.
Yeah,
I'll watch that one too.
Well, it sounds like, have you been to Detroit? Have you been to the Motown Museum?
I haven't been. I've been to Detroit a few times, but it seems like whenever I was there, it was like for something, and like a fun time, and then it was just like the night before flying out. It was like I was in Western Michigan, but then had to fly out of Detroit, so it came in the night before. That. So I haven't had the opportunity to go. I would love to go see Hitsville.
Yes, and they've revamping, vamped, whatever, however you want to see it. But it's definitely, it's funny because a lot of people that are from here, like, you don't go there, right? But if you my family members like, oh man, I want to go to Motown, I want to go to this, da. But it's actually, which will be released probably maybe tonight or tomorrow. It was an inspiration to one of my classmates to open up their own, it's called Black Coffee, to open up their own coffee shop. So it's good, but Detroit now is unlike it has ever been. It's so much to do. It's absolutely beautiful. They've actually said they're going to tear it down. So you got to come before the Renaissance Center is torn down, because that is the monumental GM headquarters that is going to be gone away. And now they have, people, my God. So I'm like, yeah, now they have like $1 million glass front condos, right? And to hear Detroit have that, it's like, what? Downtowns and all that. So it's definitely,
Detroit is growing up.
Man, yes, we got real traffic. Well, we've always had traffic because we don't have like public transportation like that. Talking about the manufacturing mini capital of the world at one point.
First have that weird left turn thing.
Michigan.
I'm gonna have to take that up with somebody.
Michigan,
you needs to handle that.
Yeah, well, that's how we feel about y'all stoplights on the highway. Like, why are we stopping and I gotta like get to like 70 an hour getting on the highway?
That's so you all don't end up getting on at the same time and creating a traffic jam.
Because Atlanta has it. Well, I'm used to it, but like Atlanta, my girlfriend's like, why is there a red light getting on the highway? I was like, It's because
To
depending
break it up.
Yeah.
To break it up.
I was like,
so
versus
people-
us, we're just like, floor it, go, go, go. But
Yeah.
but I am super excited to now watch your journey. I'm gonna have to go on to alimonialife.org or .com. I'm sorry.
.com. The book is there as well.
Yes. And I'm going to have to definitely pick up this book, and I try to support everybody that comes on.
Yeah.
And I am delighted that you found us. And I am this is like truly like the 50 Shades of Life, like literally watching your life, go through and hearing this story. So I'm very happy for you. I'm proud of you. You look absolutely gorgeous. I hope business is thriving and continues to thrive. And, maybe even a year from now, you're able to look back and say, man, I took 10 more steps, And so if there's ever anything that you need, if you ever want to come back on, the doors are open. Maybe part 2 of your novel.
Absolutely. I live here now.
So, and maybe where they will actually get more into the actual publicizing of the novel. And I did want to say, I'm gonna put this on here. I'm gonna hook you up with Nzinga, who was a previous podcast guest as well, who is from here in Detroit, and she has written multiple books, but she's a poet and whatnot. So I definitely want you guys to link up because of the Can bookstore and get you in there as well. But tell us, where can they purchase your book?
alimonialife.com.
Okay. All right. So I need you guys to go to Alimonia Life. I like that.
Thank you. It's a play on alimony.
But it sounds like Prince. No. That's because I'm a Prince fan. So, but alimonialife.com. I love that. So you guys go on there and support her, support this dream, support her walk, her journey. If you feel like somebody else may need to read this book, maybe you need to give it to them. Christmas can come in even January, for some people. And I'm just excited, to have you here. We thank you for supporting our dream, for, supporting the podcast. And, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure. I'm so happy that we met. And I feel like we've, created a sisterhood here. And I look forward to wonderful things for both of us.
Thank you. And so when I've been to San Diego maybe twice, but I was so much younger. But I know it's a beautiful, beautiful place. So when I come there, I want to have to say, hey, Regina, I'm in town.
Yes, please do.
I want to get my hair done because right now it's jacked up. No.
Please do. Oh, I can show you all the good spots.
Yeah. I love it. It's a long flight, but I can make it.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you guys again. If you want to be a guest or if you guys want to recommend somebody else or whatever, please don't forget to hit us up. If you have your own story that you want to share, please email us at 50shadesoflife@gmail.com. That's 50SHA8DES of life @gmail.com. You can go to our website, which is now up and running, and it is getting a few hits here and there. So please do also go to our website, which all social media handles are all social media handles are 50 Shades of Life. Again, 50SHA8DES of life. That's on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, X. What else is there? Spotify, Patreon. We're trying to get on iHeartRadio right now. Literally, I got to leave from here and go and try to handle that as well. And eventually we will be back on iTunes and whatever else it is for Apple and whatnot, and on Google as well. So please do hit us up because we're always looking for lovely guests like we have today and hearing more stories. And you can also tell your story anonymously. So if you have questions or if you want to put certain situations out there for my cousin and I to address, please feel free to go out there. We have a lot of medical and mental health professionals that we have access to. We are not professionals, but I do have access to a ton. So if it's something that you need, and you just want to be low key about it, maybe we can connect you. But if it's an emergency, please do call 911. And we also have other very important numbers on our website for those that are domestic abuse survivors or victims, for you to also, which I'm gonna put right here. What else is there? I think that is everything. So
if you are a victim of domestic violence, please feel free to reach out to confrontingdomesticviolence.org.
Okay. So again, don't be afraid. There's a lot of people that you may not even realize that are here to support you. But that organization, as well as others, but that organization is definitely one. As you can see, Regina is sitting here today as an advocate and a survivor, right? And whether it's physical or verbal or emotional abuse, it is all still abuse. So you don't need it. You don't deserve it, male or female. You need to definitely, get out of that situation. So please do. Right here is the information. And if you go on to the website, as well as other local numbers, there's a lot of different shelters that you can go to. And other than that, but thank you for being an advocate and being someone who speaks up for individuals who don't have a voice right now. So thank you for that, because so many people are silent, they're scared, they're fearful, even of their lives. So thank you for speaking up and sharing your story. And thank you for speaking up also about even your childhood, abuse, because a lot of people haven't and can't deal with that. So, but you are just a beautiful person. And I feel like I've known you for so long, So it's good.
The same way. Yes.
But I appreciate you again. And other than that, you guys, good night. And please do comment if you have any questions put them down below. And we love you guys too for listening to us. And thank you again, Regina. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All righty. Take care, guys.
Welcome to 50 Shades of Life.